Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
I happened to stop by Pixar Animation Studios on my usual route, but nothing interesting has come from their dumps until today when I stumbled across a certain VHS tape at the bottom of their dumpster. The New Toy, 1992, was scribbled in black Sharpie with the words, "Please destroy JL," smiley face under it, scrawled in silver Sharpie, JL standing for the director of Toy Story, John Lasseter. Under that was, "P.S. We need more Sharpies," written in black crayon. Did I just come across an early version of Toy Story? I muttered to myself. I got a massive boner from this amazing find. After finishing my job for the day, I hurried home and popped this fantastic tape into my VHS player, while popping myself some Orville Redenbacher's popcorn, cooking a Christmas ham, and reheating some leftover burritos from Taco Bell. Ground beef smothered in taco seasoning, shredded lettuce, diced tomato, sour cream, and a delicious coating of melted cheese. All of the listed food items I prepared, I previously found in various dumpsters while I worked. You never know what you'll end up smuggling from random trash bins when you're a trash man. Anyway, after preparing a meal fit for a king, I sat down with my food on my sofa along with a Dr. Pepper and pressed play on my VHS player. The words "The New Toy" appeared in white text against a black background, with what sounded like Randy Newman singing an early version of "You Got a Friend in Me," but sounded like he was singing it in a raspy tone, taking small rests in between verses to burp rather loudly. There was some metallic clanging in the background as well. I was already wondering what's going on at this point. I continued out of curiosity as to what unfolds from here on out. The screen faded into Andy playing with a ventriloquist dummy version of Woody. Looked like the early test film that everyone has seen, but the quality of the animation was lower, like the characters were on strings being controlled by a retarded monkey with palsy. The camera panned out to reveal that Andy was playing with Woody during his birthday party. His birthday dinner consisted of Orville Redenbacher popcorn, a Christmas ham, and several Taco Bell burritos. I gasped at the screen, quickly shaking it off as a coincidence. I pressed on. Andy went to go help his mom with something, leaving Woody alone in the room. He came to life immediately, materializing a piece of chalk from his holster. This made my heart drop several times over. "Someone's been stealing chalk around these parts," he said. It sounded like Tom Hanks doing a gruff voice with a thick Texas accent. It's been said that Woody was more mean-spirited in the early drafts of Toy Story, but what happened next made me understand why this was never to be seen by anyone outside of Pixar. Woody took Buzz Lightyear, who was named Tempest from Morph at the time and was way tinier in comparison to Woody, out of his newly unwrapped box and proceeded to draw a dick on his forehead with a piece of chalk, while laughing sinisterly. "Who's the dickhead now, spaceman?" Woody shouted with nothing short of what I could describe as evil, twisted enjoyment. I was more mortified by the fact that they swore in this cartoon. Tempest tried removing the white chalky cock from his forehead, but to no avail. It cut back to Woody, but his head was a crude, low-poly 3D model of Tom Hanks' head. "You will be a dick to infinity and beyond, midget!" Woody howled in an almost demonic tone. When it cut back to Tempest, he was a penis with Buzz's face pasted on it. He looked clearly offended and screamed, "You will pay for this, cowboy!" He sounded more like Jim Carrey than Tim Allen and sounded more like a superhero. It cut back to Woody, back to normal. He took out his wooden penis and slapped Tempest across the face with it, who was also back to normal at this point, be it some strange red liquid dripped from his nose and left ear. Hyper-realistically, I might add. Woody turned and scowled at the camera, his eyes seemingly following my movements. I spat out my Mr. Pibb in a comedic spit take when this happened.
"This town ain't big enough for the two of us,"
he said as the tape began to sputter. It then cut to the next scene. It was an early version of the Pizza Planet scene, but it was called Pizza Putt. All the kids were playing mini-golf and eating their boogers. An early version of Sid comes along, getting Tempest and Woody out of the crane game. He cracked an evil, retarded smile before it cut to Sid torturing the two toys. Odd thing is, while Sid was torturing them, they were alive during it. Tempest had his arms and legs ripped off from an apparatus that Sid made, kinda like that saw trap that ripped that man's limbs off. Tempest was clearly screaming, but his voice was replaced with the sound of nails on a chalkboard. Woody wasn't screaming, seemingly not feeling any pain whatsoever, as Sid popped Woody's head from his body. His head on one of those control stick things that ventriloquist dummies have to control their face. Sid started controlling the stick, making Woody's mouth open and closed. He started mocking the cowboy.
"Ha! I'm a cowboy! I kill Indians even though my ancestors massacred a whole bunch of them to take over America!"
I was shocked by this. The last thing I expected from Sid is for him to have a political agenda of any kind, being a 12-year-old kid. Sid proceeded to slap Woody across the face with a Christmas ham. The tape continued. Sid took Woody and Tempest outside in pieces, dumping gasoline all over them and striking a match, repeating his lines from the final movie.
Roger. Permission granted. We are confirmed. At T-minus 10 seconds. And counting. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2.
But before he got to 1, Woody's headless body pulled a knife out of hammer space, slowly walking towards Sid, knife raised. Sid screamed hyper-realistically as he took off running. What followed was 10 straight minutes of Sid running around his yard as fast as he can, while Woody's body slowly walked towards Sid, just like a horror movie. A bad horror movie. Woody was somehow keeping up with Sid as he was walking at a slow creep, as Sid is running at what seemed like 666 miles per hour. In fact, I took out my handy-dandy radar speed gun and held it in front of the TV, and I was right. 666 miles per hour. I was petrified at this demonic tape and the contents within, but my love for Toy Story is stronger than my disgust for this tape. Woody passed by his head, placing it back on, although it's very wobbly, so it looks like Woody has some type of neurological disorder. Sid tired himself out, falling to the ground with a thud, with so much bass in it that there's no way it came from my TV speakers. I realized my 7.1 surround sound stereo system was suspiciously turned on by an unseen force. Woody said to Sid,
"This town ain't big enough for the two of us,"
in a gurgly, death-sounding manner. Woody drove the knife into Sid's chest. Highly realistic popcorn poured from his open wound as Woody and Tempest laughed demonically. The tape stopped there, automatically rewinding, signifying that the tape did in fact end. I sat back in my seat, finishing my last burrito and throwing the wrapper onto my ottoman.